Hi, everybody. It's Alison. How are you? Welcome to What's New Wednesday on Cinco de Mayo. I should have worn like a Mexican sombrero, but I don't have one. So, how are you all doing today on this wonderful Cinco de Mayo? I hope you're all going to have some margaritas and do some celebrating and, give it a big hurrah for whatever the heck you want to do. It's a day. It's Wednesday. Just celebrate being alive, crying out loud. So anyway, I've been working on my lighting, and it's like a science project, I'm going to tell you. So that's what I'm working on in my group and in my membership site. So if you're not a member of the Kitchen and Bath Design Academy, you should join it, because I have constant learning, teaching, things like that going on in my Kitchen and Bath Design Academy, much more than I do here. So today I wanted to talk with Dean Camastro, who is a fabulous person. I don't know how he has the energy he does, but he does. And if we could just bottle that for a little bit, I'd be very happy. So he is the national regional sales manager for Duravit, but he's so much more than that. He's the president of the Long Island Interior Design Society, and he is also involved with NKBA, NARI, Libby, which is Long Island Builders Institute, Association, whatever. But he's very, very, very involved in all of these things, and I want to get his perspective as how a sales rep represents the designers in our field, how he helps us, and growing the Interior Design Society and putting together things, and just all in general, what it's like to be Dean. So I'm going to unmute him and I'm going to show him in the stream. Let's see. There he goes. Hey, Dean.
Hey, Alison, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. I'm really, really excited. I've been having some great guests and really promoting all things kitchen and bath. And I'm so thankful for you to come on my show. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to it today.
Yeah, you have such a plethora. Oh, what's that, a dog or a
my
cat?
Dog, yeah, of course. We're working from home, so my cockapoo decides he wants to jump up.
We do have a showing of animals at times here.
I'm sure.
There could be a cat walking across my desk or a guest dog on their lap.
Yeah.
So, yes, you are involved with so many things. I know you for many years, but we've gotten to know each other more over time because of my involvement in the
Sure.
Interior Design Society and your involvement in the Interior Design Society. And if everybody doesn't know, the Interior Design Society is a national organization for interior designers, and it's a great national organization put together with fabulous events and networking events and support and education. And as far as interior design chapters go, organizations go, Interior Design Society is one of my favorite of all of them. And I belong to a few other ones, but the National Kitchen and Bath Association takes second to my IDS association. I find a lot of relationships come out of that, a lot of networking out of that. And even though I am a kitchen and bath design specialist, I enjoy the company of other interior designers and professionals. It's a very involved society here on Long Island, right, Dean? I think we have a lot of other sales reps and other people involved with our chapter, not just designers. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's a complete collaboration, as you said, of designers, of vendors, other manufacturers like myself. One of our other big members is Cambria. They're manufacturer of countertops. There's Duravit. There's a number of them. I mean, we still remain the largest chapter for the Interior Design Society throughout the United States. So, like you said, it's always been something that has been a passion of mine, for now being the president of IDS. I could say that way a long time ago, I was one of the first vendor members when it was first born, right, with Sal, when it was the president so many years
Yeah,
ago.
when exactly was that? Do you know
I
the
believe
year?
at this point it's like 15 years. I mean, and the funny thing was I was doing a NARI show. So here I was, a manufacturer's rep with a booth at NARI's trade show for contractors. And Sal came up to me and introduced himself and what the Interior Design Society was about, and if I'd be interested in becoming a member. And it was from there that it was born. So yeah, I believe it's at least 15 years that I've been an active member of this association, and now I have the pleasure of being the current president for the next couple of years. But yes, you're right. The associations have become a very important part of our industry from a networking perspective. Like yourself, as a kitchen designer, it allows you to network and associate with interior designers that are part of that group, and a lot of the collaboration begins to happen there. So I think that as a whole, the industry, there's a great need for these networking groups. NARI, which you had mentioned earlier, that's contractors. There's been a lot of synergy between our local NARI chapter and IDS lately. And at the end of the day, contractors need designers to help them with their projects, and designers need contractors to help install all this beautiful stuff that they design, right? It all works.
It is. It needs to be a team. And I think that what I really love that I've seen happening in the industry within the last 10, 15 years is the camaraderie and the willingness to participate together and to share knowledge. Where I say this in the past, years ago, it used to be like, I'm going to say it, ASID was the one that I belonged to in the beginning.
Sure.
And I know, when you're first starting out, what are you looking for? You're looking for information. You're looking for guidance. You're looking for somebody to help you. You don't necessarily, you want a job, but sometimes you just need a little info.
Sure.
And it was much less, there was none of that. Let me help you. Let me tell you what I pay. Let me tell you who my resources are. It was almost like, no, I can't tell you my resources because then you'll take them away. And it was like, well, but don't you want to support your resources and give them business so that they can continue to be your resource?
Yeah.
So that never made sense to me. And when I became involved with IDS, that's when it clicked, this networking, this family, this total togetherness. And by having the crossover with NKBA, NARI, IDS, it's just been phenomenal to me to see the growth of the intertwining within our industry.
Sure. No, absolutely. And look, unfortunately, we all have experienced this pandemic, but pre-pandemic, right? Think about all the events we were doing with NKBA and with NARI. As a matter of fact, right, we had, prior to the pandemic, we had that very big 3 association picnic that we were going to do at the state park. And then the pandemic happened, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I think, well, Alison, I think today, and something that I think we're all aware of is that today's consumer is very different. So, they're very educated. They understand, what they're looking for. So I think between a kitchen designer, a contractor, and an interior designer, it really makes so much more sense to work together, to collaborate on a project, to provide a sense of seamlessness for the customer. That's their expectation, right? Today everything's about customer expectation, customer service, who's going to provide the best service, really, right? I mean, I don't want to say you could throw pricing out the window, but I think today the consumer is so educated. I believe they want to do business with the person that's going to give them the best service. And I think having all your bases covered, and like you said, this real sharing of information about a project or the needs of a project just allows the customer experience to be that much better by working together. And you're right. Years ago, there was a big, again, there wasn't that collaboration between the contractor and designer. Oftentimes, you guys butted heads. Not to say that you still don't today, because you get contractors who are kind of set in their ways, and designers as well. However, I think you're seeing the collaboration become much greater today because of the much more educated and experienced customer, quite honestly.
And I think that if people were more open-minded, like a lot of the contractors and even designers, and architects, you all have to kind of like take your ego and put it on the back burner. And when you have the opportunity to actually work together with people, it makes the job so much easier in the long run, because maybe like as a designer, I have this vision and I'm like, I want the molding to go like this and like this. And then the contractor might, I'll ask him to explain if he can't do it. Like, well, what can we do? And he'll come up with something, I'll come up with something. And even contractors have been like, well, should I do this? And I'll say, no, why don't you do this? And they go, wow, I didn't think of that. So, working together as a team is so much easier in the long run. But again, it goes to communication. We all have to be good in communication. But if you have that camaraderie, and I think that's what I've found through the Interior Design Society and even now the NKBA, it's just really, really fabulous what they bring to our industry. This
Sure.
must be hard for you, Dean, being the president during a pandemic.
Yeah, well, actually, I was noticing in the chat, someone actually asked if there's going to be in-person events soon, and we do plan in the second half of the year to get back to live events. Obviously, we want to be mindful of everyone and their concerns about health issues. So we're looking to do an event in August, outdoors, so it makes it a little bit easier as our first live event back. I this morning actually was at an associate builders meeting. You mentioned Long Island Builders Institute earlier. They're a Long Island located group, not national. It's Long Island based, and it's all builders. But your big builders, your Avalon
Big
Bay
ones.
communities, Heatherwood communities, Ingle Berman, all these big developers that are building these tract homes, multi-unit residential properties. And they hosted albeit a small one. It was an in-person at a local golf club this morning. It was a breakfast, couple hours. Everyone was socially distanced, maybe about 60 people overall in attendance in a room that could have easily fit 300. So we're beginning to see that start to come back. So for IDS, our goal has been to get there. We're still all virtual at the moment. I have to say it is quite challenging for myself to kind of get into a groove as the president, since I've come into a pandemic situation. So, my presidency started in January. Here we are, 5 months in. We've done a couple of meetings via Zoom, which were quite successful, but still not, that same thing. I mean, we used to do our monthly meetings. We'd have 40, 50 people attending, a lot of networking, collaboration, sharing of information, sharing of projects, so much business being had. That I'm really looking forward to getting back to that. Speaking of business, right? The good thing is for the designers out there, for the customers, clients out there, we're seeing a lot of business, a lot of renovations, right?
So
Alison, you could
Yep.
attest to that.
Yep. Our industry, the kitchen and bathroom and home renovation is sky high right now. And it's just, everybody was home and everything broke or they hated it. They weren't going away. So let's spend money on improving our home. Because, if you spend money to improve your home, you make money on improving your home. It's always an investment in your property.
Sure.
So, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I'm glad we built the deck last year, because if we tried to do it this year, I doubt it would have gotten done, and it would have cost a fortune.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, right? We recently, as an association, started this educational series doing outdoor kitchen projects, and it is something obviously people are focusing on because it's the time of year and here in New York where the warmer weather comes. But I'm assuming it's going to be quite a challenge from the access of material. As a manufacturer ourselves of plumbing products, we've begun to see, and oddly, more of a delay on the port side. And we're a German manufacturer, so we're importing goods over from 11 different countries, and we see port delays of 2 to 3 weeks before the stuff's even getting on a boat. Then it's another 5 or 6 weeks to get here. Then it's another 3 to 4 weeks of delays at the ports in New York and California. So, what a product that used to take 5 weeks to get here is at 12 at the moment.
I've
So
heard that kitchen cabinets of something that was 4 or 5 weeks is taking 12 to 18 weeks.
sure.
Everything is just, I know my stepson is doing his kitchen. I said, well, you better start ordering your stuff now
Yeah.
because you ain't never going to get done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, appliances, right? We had a meeting about that. Appliances are so far behind. You have companies like Sub-Zero that are 6 and 8 months out.
Oh my
So
gosh, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Sub-Zero.
yeah. They're still
Wow.
having issues with a part. I was talking to a gentleman this morning who's building apartments, and he's having a problem getting boilers because get this, all that trouble that they had in Texas, one of the main manufacturing plants of styrofoam because of the snow and all that stuff, it burnt down. So the
Oh
company that
my.
makes the styrofoam for the boiler can't operate. So now you can't get the boilers. And, so this is kind of this very weird
Yeah.
dynamic that's
It's
going on.
It's interesting because it's like been a year and a half of this.
Yeah.
We had the canal with the ship that was
Yeah.
sinking,
Yeah.
the Suez Canal, whatever that was. Oh my God! Like that was
Yeah, it's been one thing
major.
after another for sure.
Yeah,
The industry as a whole, I think between all of those things, pandemic, and then now you have this huge influx of business, as you mentioned, right? People are doing their kitchens, their bathrooms. I talk with designers, architects, builders often, and that luxury client who would have spent $100,000 on their 2 month vacation in Europe couldn't take it, so now they're going to spend it on their house, or the mass exodus of people who lived in Manhattan who now live in the Hamptons, and their summer home became their regular home, so they had to remodel everything. And
right,
it's
right.
been so interesting to see the dynamics of this industry and what's happened both pre and post pandemic. And I don't want to say post because we're not totally out of it yet, but it's pretty dramatic. And I
It's
think things are going to be a little crazier for the next couple months still.
And how about and then the fire in
Yeah,
California.
yeah, all of it.
It's been like, okay, if I want to be one of those cicadas that goes underneath the ground.
And comes back out in 8 years, right? Or
Yes.
whatever.
Is it over yet?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. And look, for the most part, I don't see a return to I hate to use the term normalcy,
Normal. It's
but
never going to be the same.
probably not till next year. Call it Q1, and then, like you said, I think things have changed dramatically forever. I mean, look at us here today with this. So much. Active on social media or Zoom calls, right? And I can't tell you how many trainings I've done on our
I know.
products,
Oh my God,
via
aren't you
Zoom.
like, I'm
Yeah.
zoomed out at some
Yes.
point. Like I'm just
Yes.
like on almost like information overload.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
just like that's why like last week was it or whatever. I couldn't work. I said, you know what? I can't do it today. I have a ton of things to do. I have a big to-do list, but I was like, I need a mental health day. And it turned into a whole week.
That's always not so bad. One of the pleasures of being your own boss, right?
Right, right, right. Because she's such a bitch when I call in sick.
Yeah, but no, you're right. I mean, like you said, there's a lot has changed. Unfortunately, there were a lot of businesses lost. There were a lot of businesses gained. You saw companies change and adapt to the new marketplace and have flourished dramatically. Who would have thought bike companies would have been doing record sales, right? Bikes, that were once a commodity, you couldn't find them. So many interesting things that
Yeah,
took
yeah. And
part.
I think that, and I hope that what they do is keep cleaning in the stores with those baskets with the guy who it comes in
Yeah,
with the little Purell and they wiping down the carts or
that won't be so
having,
bad.
certain things I like having, cleaner and more attention paid to them.
Sure.
But I'd like to get a dressing room opened once or twice, so I don't have to, just to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
I tend to be, what I like about the associations and NKBA and IDS is as a solopreneur, as you can see, if I turn my camera, there's nobody else here.
Sure.
I'm surrounded by my cats. That's it. I got nobody to talk to unless I pick up the phone or somebody calls me. But having those monthly meetings with my comrades is like a breath of fresh air. Not
Sure.
only are you getting out and doing something different, but you have to get dressed, make sure you look good and, present yourself. And then you have to, people say, "Oh, I don't like networking." Well, just don't think of it as networking. Just think
Mhm.
of it as saying hello to people.
Sure.
"Hi, how are you? How are you?" And people need to get to know who you are. And that's the big thing with the social media. They need to know who you are. And that
Yeah.
always bothers me. But when you go to networking, that's what you're really doing, is letting people get to know who you are and what you like to do, and you can relax and you'll actually make friends along the way.
Sure.
And on top of that, you get to learn something new, like a tile store or a fabric store or a hardware store. So many things that we can also learn about. So these networking events are both for social reasons and for knowledge reasons. And that's what I really, really miss the most, is that like impromptu learning,
Yeah.
kind of go there and see what happens, who am I going to meet there? Who am I going to see there? And one of the things that I found with the networking, perhaps that's going to be changing over time, is the willingness to bring people in, the
Sure.
willingness to talk to other people, the willingness to be more friendly. I think that that's going to happen from this pandemic too. Everybody seems to be so much more friendly, like, "Oh, hi. Oh, don't worry. You hit me in the car. You hit my car. No problem."
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, look, in all the years that I've been doing this, and it's been a long time, from my days as a kitchen designer to a contractor to a manufacturer's rep, I've seen the gamut. And one of the things that's always impressed me about our events, either IDS or NKBA events, which I've attended often, and Libby and all the associations, like you just said, you're learning something new almost every time you go, whether you're talking to somebody about a job, a project, and they just mention how they handled it, or like you mentioned, "Oh, I get this stuff from this guy here has got a good selection of whether it be hardware or whatever it might be." It still always amazes me that after all these years, you could still come to a meeting and learn something new, meet somebody new, and find
Absolutely.
out something that you thought you were doing one way for 20, 30 years, and suddenly, "Oh, wow, I never thought of that." So yes, and I think that, and I'm already starting to see it on the surface with the attendance of Libby, that we're going to see a real big uptick once we can get back and be in person, excuse me, of people wanting to join, wanting to attend. I have to say, our membership, we really didn't lose much, just a few people, given
Mm,
pandemic, and we really had no attendance of any sort for almost an entire year. It was nice to see that our membership is still there. Again, the meeting I was at this morning, Libby experienced a 60% increase in membership after doing nothing for an entire year. Yeah,
wow.
60%. So yeah, a lot of new faces that were there today. And I think a lot of it had to do with, we all spent a year in our home office. Like you said,
Yeah.
most of us, nobody to report to. I myself, I work from a home office. I have for 15 years. I don't have a boss that I report to directly. I haven't gone into an office, thankfully, for nearly 20 years of my life. So yeah, I think that volume of where we were once in person, geez, right? You and I, 4 or 5 times a month, we'd see each other at these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And we went to nothing. So there's been a
Mhm.
big gap, but I think that's going to help fuel the future of these in-person meetings again, for sure.
I think we're all gonna wanna just have a big kumbaya hug.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my
We're not going to go
god,
home, right? Yeah. The meeting won't ever end.
I know, I know. We have to get it started. I can't. I need to say hello to everybody here."
Yeah. Absolutely. For sure. For sure. It's been very trying times for a lot of people in the way things change so dramatically so quickly. So it should be interesting, the sharing of all the stories for a good solid year.
I know I tend to be like quiet and I stay home. I don't like to do too many things. I don't go out too much, but when I do go out,
Absolutely.
let the floodgates open.
Sure, sure.
It's like I'm here, everybody.
Yeah, well, and it's nice even to see like the markets are starting to open back up, right? There's a
Oh,
market coming up that's going to be in person, I believe, in June, right? It's just a few weeks away for the
yeah,
designers. Unfortunately, IDS is actually right now, today was the start of our national conference, but via virtual, right? We were supposed to do it in Chicago 2 years ago or a year and a half at this point, whatever. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that got canceled, and they decided as an organization to host it virtually this year, as most are. I mean, I do have to say I'm impressed with Libby on a local level. They are going to do their big trade show in the end of October live. They're going to try it, so let's see. Um, and then there are a few other live events that they're going to do from like June on. So it's going to be interesting to see the exception there. But I'm hoping IDS will be back on our monthly cadence in person from August on, and we go from there and get back to
yeah.
our
Some kind
regular
of,
cadence. Yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of, and then, quite frankly, the people who aren't ready to go out and socialize and who don't want to be in public aren't going to go.
agreed.
And
Sure,
that's okay. And the people who want to go, who want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If, but don't, like, if I don't want to wear a mask, I have my vaccine, then
sure,
that's fine. I think it's a transition time where we're all going to have our own little idiosyncrasies
absolutely.
that we feel more comfortable with. So it's a matter of how we adapt to getting in, and it'll be an adjustment period for us. I think a couple of meetings, where are we at? Where are we at? Take that mask off. Don't take it on. Leave it on. I got it here. It's hanging on one ear.
Yeah, that's the best, sure. Well, and that's just it. Like you said, the big thing, for us is, and for myself as the president of the association, it's comfort level. The last thing you want to do is put somebody in a situation that they're not comfortable with. So yes, you're right. I figure we'll start with an outdoor meeting, keep it socially distanced. Whether you want to have your mask on or not, fine. If you're vaccinated, great. I mean, I'm going for my second shot on Saturday, so I'll be fully vaccinated. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because even for us, as a manufacturer's rep, again, I've been unable to travel. So my company, global stop to any sort of travel. We're not even permitted to travel if we wanted to still at this moment as a corporate directive. Yeah. So I think they're going to finally, I think July. And even then, I still have to have it approved of where I'm going, how long am I going for, so on and so forth. So I think we're going to, as I said, experience that level of care and concern at least until 2022. For sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, because it's already May.
yeah,
May
yeah,
here already.
yeah. It goes fast. It goes
Yeah.
fast.
So, like, okay, I want to just talk a little bit about IDS
Sure.
to say, like, what are your future plans and where do you see your presidency taking us into the following, this is your 2-year
Yep.
tenure.
Yep.
And haven't you been on other boards?
I've been on other boards. I've been asked to be even higher levels on other boards, more on the outskirts of it. I was obviously the vice president of the IDS, but I've been with NKBA,
Yeah, okay.
ASID more on just on the member base. I'm
Okay.
even a member of AIA, and AIA's got they're pretty truncated. They have their Long Island, they have their Brooklyn, they have Manhattan, they have a bazillion chapters, the AIA. So I've had my most involvement by far with the IDS. It's always been my favorite organization. It's always benefited myself, from a career level to a networking level to just, and then of course my business part, right? I'm a salesperson at heart. So
Right.
I've always gotten the most return on investment, right? If for lack of a better
Right.
term, with this organization. So for me, as a manufacturer's rep and not a designer, my goal is to engage with our membership base, find out what the needs are for the future, right? This now post pandemic, things have changed dramatically. What can we do to remain relevant for today's designer in the new world in which he or she lives, right? At the end of the day, it's different for designers now, no matter what. It's changed forever. I think you're always going to have this online stuff.
Oh
I know
yeah.
a lot of designers who have designed, sold, and installed complete jobs without even going and meeting the person in person. It's been all electronic, a Zoom meeting,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
So
It's doable. It's
yes,
totally doable.
it absolutely is, and I think there are going to be customers who are always going to be wanted to do it that way. That's it. So for us, a goal is definitely how do we remain relevant? How do we remain of value? How do we help you as a designer, no matter what field you're in, right? We have a number of designers. We have women who do wall treatments or just space planning or kitchen and bathroom, and so there's all these different aspects of design and parts of it. So it's what
Right.
do we do and how can we better provide you with a service that makes your membership valuable. So that's really the key, is this new market. Obviously, doing things more digitally, providing more. And we started this when we were doing in-house or in-person meetings, having vendors provide discounting programs to our members. That's always a key.
Mm-hmm.
That being a member, you get extended discounts from all the
Mm-hmm.
different vendors that are part of our association. So that's a key goal. But really, the digital aspect of um, information is probably going to be a key focus, because it seems to be the most relevant now, and probably at least for another year. It's only a 2-year tenure for me, and then I move off into past president status, where Joe is today. So
Unless you run again and you get elected again.
could
Could
be.
be. You never know,
So
Joe. Joe.
yeah.
I called you Joe.
It's okay.
Dean.
Joe was there
Dean.
long enough. I got big shoes to fill with Joe Calise. But nonetheless, again, like I said, so that's really the main focus, is digital information, value. What can I do to help a designer grow their business, or what can IDS do to help a designer grow their business?
I just want to give a little story about IDS. When I became a member of IDS because Sal had called me, and he was like, "Oh, we have this thing. We're going to be." I can't even remember where it was. It was out east a little bit more, and I won something, because we have raffles, and I won
Sure.
something, and I remember, and I say this all the time. They read the minutes. And we all have this controversy about reading the minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't necessarily that. It was they talked about the business of the
Sure.
organization that I was a part of.
Yeah.
They said, "This is what we're doing. This is what we've done. This is what we're planning to do." And I was blown away by that one thing. Now, I've gone to Libby, I've gone to NARI, I've gone to NKBA, I've gone to ASID. That was the only one that ever did that, and I was like, I felt a part of, just
Sure.
by that one thing. So every meeting, what we do is we talk about, we say, if you want to hear the last things we were
Minutes.
talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the last time, it's online, because I always felt it was reiterating whatever we just talked about, although I loved being the secretary and having to say it, it was like
Sure.
entertainment. So, but that really sparked something within me. Then one other thing that the Interior Design Society does here on Long Island is we're really into charity, volunteering, raising money, giving back to our community. And I had always wanted to get on a committee or get involved somehow. And I was at a meeting, and I forget, it was with Daryl was there. And I knew Daryl from NKBA.
Yeah.
So Daryl was there, and she made an announcement. She goes, "Tonight we're having a meeting for our committee, for the Pay It Forward committee for the West chapter." And I was like, wow, finally, I want to come to that. So I invited myself, and I wanted to get involved with that. And I only knew Daryl. I knew Daryl, knew nobody else. I just knew Daryl. And I went in, and the rest is history. And we had a thing, who wants to get involved? Would you want to volunteer for something? And I was like, I'll volunteer. Well, how bad could it be, right? I'll do it. And I got elected to be the secretary.
Yeah.
I was like, me? Okay. And it just kind of happens like
Sure.
that. And
Sure.
getting involved in that first committee, it extended me into so many more pathways, which is what these societies do, or the organizations do for industry partners. I really, really highly suggest that people who don't have a chapter, you could even join the virtual chapter. They
Yeah,
have the virtual
absolutely.
chapter,
Yep.
which is a lot of fun too for people that, there's a lot to be said to talking to people in our industry.
Yeah.
My husband doesn't want to hear about your plumbing delays, but I do.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, that's one thing I could say, as an association, going back to the pay it forward with IDS, we do such a large range of giving back, from, right, you had Mama's House where we're donating product for women with kids that, can't afford certain things, or we build a house for a veteran. That blew
That
my
was,
mind.
yeah.
Still probably the greatest thing and greatest project I've ever been part of ever. But and like you said, that's the benefit to these associations. There's all these different committees. Our Pay It Forward committee is grown dramatically over the years, right? I mean, now sometimes we'll get 15, 20 people working on a project. And like you said, you're collaborating on it. You're getting to do something great by giving back, but then you're also building these relationships with people that you might have never interacted with before. And that leads to something else. So, yeah, I mean, associations, I believe, to be a vital aspect of the building industry as a whole, and the different ones out there all have their different levels of giving back and what they do. Libby has this Long Island Home Builders Care. That's their equivalent of our Pay It Forward. I'm not sure of what NKBA does or what their charitable arm is, but nonetheless, there's always some sort of aspect of that. But yes, for IDS, the projects we've worked on together over the years, it's always amazed me how you guys come together, and everybody at one point does put their ego in check, right? We said that earlier. I
Hmm.
know I've always been impressed at times being in a room with 10, 12 of you, and you all seem to figure out a way to agree on how a color should look and where a couch should go and so on and so forth. So yeah, it is
Must be interesting to sit back and watch that happen.
yes, it was, yeah, for sure. It's been some interesting rooms over the years to watch that transpire. But yeah, I mean, again, our organization, we do the construction, one of my favorite events. That's
Yeah.
actually going to be live this year. And for those of you out there who don't know, construction is a charitable design competition, if you will. So you got to design a structure made out of food cans. It's all got to be cans or non-perishable items. And we put together these tremendous structures, and they donate all the cans of food to the Harry Chapin Food Bank, right? And two or three others that they do on Long Island. So it's Long Island based. It's a global competition.
I was gonna
That,
say, because I
yeah,
know it's been in Manhattan and
it's
stuff.
global. Yeah, no, it
It's
is global.
global.
Oh,
Yeah,
Europe, everything. So they do it
yeah.
everywhere. But
And
this one,
how many cans?
well, we've won twice for the most cans. The big one we did a few years ago was that tidal wave with the surfer, and it
Oh,
was
so cool.
15,000 cans of tuna fish. So,
15.
yeah, 15,000 that we put together, big, huge tidal wave. So, yeah, I mean, those are the type of things that IDS does as a group and
Hmm.
an association. And that, is a pet project of mine. I love doing these things throughout the year, and again, collaborations with design students. So the very
Yes.
interesting thing about that is we work with that strictly with design students. So IDS unfortunately puts them into the professional category. So we take a group of design students and pit them up against architectural firms, engineering firms, all the different people who go in. And it's a friendly competition, but
Yeah.
competition nonetheless. And we've won. We've won the event, the Jurors Award. We've won for most cans. We've won best meal, all these different categories. So
Best
to
meal. Oh, I
yeah,
like that
best
one.
meal, because they look at the food and they say, okay, if we were going to cook it, yes,
Yeah.
that's a cool category, is best meal.
Yeah.
But these are some of the things that this, our association does and IDS does on a national level. We do many things, and that's the other thing too. The collaboration of the different chapters throughout the country is phenomenal as well. I myself as a representative of a manufactured product here in New York, I just recently did business with somebody in Vegas. I did business with somebody in Arizona. I did business with somebody in Florida. And this was all through networking at the IDS national conferences. So
Wow.
you're
Yeah.
always building relationships on so many different levels.
Yeah, I know from IDS, I've had a designer from California get in touch with me to help her work on a project. So, and doing now with the Zoom and the internet like this, the way it is, we can collaborate like that,
Yes.
which is like simply freaking crazy amazing. Years ago when I worked in Home Depot, there was a kitchen I did that was going to Croatia.
Wow.
So it was a little kitchen, and I actually had the countertop made because you can figure if you know how to do a countertop and you know mathematically how to calculate everything, we had to do that. They didn't go and measure for a laminate countertop back in the day. You had to do it on manually. So I shipped the whole kitchen to Croatia, and I was like, did it come out all right? Was everything okay? Is everything fit? And they showed me pictures. It came out great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and that was before all of this.
Yeah, I was about to say technology
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I do that all the time, from as a manufacturer's rep, the support of a designer and putting together specification books is what we call it. I have designers reach out to me, hey Dean, I'm working on this 5-piece bathroom. I need this size vanity, 2-piece toilet, blah, 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 blah. And I can, through our systems today, put together a spec book and email it over, and
wow.
it's got
Oh, tell me more
yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
So we
Talk
have
to me.
we have a pro site. So it's a pro site, and a lot of these manufacturers do that. We give access to designers like yourself and interior designers, and I have access to my own portion of it. That if you had a client who just said, "Hey, Allison, I'm working on this bathroom, and I need a 60/30 alcove tub, a 36-inch vanity, and this 2-piece toilet that I'm interested in," we have the ability to, and you could just shoot me an email, say, hey, Dean, I need this. And I would shoot you back a PDF file that's got cut sheets, installation documentation, pricing if you want it or not pricing, depending on how
Right.
you share it with the client, pictures of what the items look like. And I could literally do that 30 minutes and send it
What a
over to you.
what a time saver.
Yeah.
What a resource
Yeah.
for designers. Did you all hear that right now, what Dean said? If you are needing something for a project, instead of having to sit there and do it all on your own of let me get the PDF, let me get the model number, let me look up all the parts. So in order to get all the parts together that you need to have, you need the model numbers, you need to make sure you have the valve, da 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 da. You can give it to your sales rep,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll put it together for a packet that saved you a half an hour, probably more. It would take me an
Yeah.
hour and a half. So you have to figure if I get paid to do my design work and I'm working for a customer and my design fee is $250 an hour, can I charge $100 to sit there and source all the PDFs and all the other stuff that goes with it? It doesn't seem, that's not a realistic number. That's clerical stuff. So
Sure.
having somebody, if I don't have a clerical person, I could give it to somebody, my sales rep, and put
Yeah.
this package together. I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, right, the change of the times, we understand the value of your time, right? Time is money. And yes, it takes a little bit of the guesswork. There's a lot of experienced designers like yourself out there who understand the in and outs of it. But when it comes to certain brands, certain manufacturers, we'll have you need to use this rough valve with this trim and so
Right,
on and so forth. So
right,
there's some variation. And what we do is just kind of take out that guesswork. Duravit is a brand. We're a 200+ year old German manufacturer. Some of it could be a little intimidating. Our book is 80,000 SKUs. Our model numbers are 15 to 16 digits long, so a little intimidating. So I think we've gone ahead to provide that service to interior designers, kitchen bath designers, architects, developers. I have developers reach out to me and say, hey, here's a elevation. We're doing 600 units. Here's the structure. This is what it looks like. Put a package together. So, we do it on a lot of different levels. But for us, as a luxury brand, most of our sales come from kitchen bath designers, come from interior design specification. Most of the time, and I'd probably say good 85% of our sales are done through specification. So it behooves us to provide designers with that just much easier transition rather than going to a local wholesaler, because our products are all sold through wholesale distribution, rather than you go in and meet with the person that you normally deal with and sit for 2 hours and, like you said, comb through SKU numbers and this and that. If you went in with my specification package or simply emailed it to your person that you deal with, and they're
Gonna order it from,
yeah, just hey,
yeah,
I need this ordered. So
yeah.
yes, it just streamlines things, allows you to be more efficient as a designer, gives you the comfort that something's not going to be missed. We make sure we include anything that needs to go along with it. And again, as a brand, we find that if you're ordering this toilet, you need to have this seat, and if it's this shower valve, it's this trim. And it's very specific, and most of them do it that way. Most brands are that way, and providing that as a service is just something that is a necessity. I think, again, we keep going back to the term digital assets, and the more digital assets we could create for a designer, the better off everybody is.
Now, when you have, I'm going to ask this question because I haven't really worked with the European, like a Duravit.
Sure.
And many years ago when I worked, I heard, and this could be totally different, that the European valves are a little bit different in sizing because they're metric than the American.
Yes. And it drives the American plumber crazy.
It's still that way.
It's still that way. It drives the American installer crazy. And, it's funny because I have these conversations. I was an installer myself for years, so I kind of have the luxury of being able to call these guys out sometimes. But a lot of what people don't know, right? We have the U.S. system, right? Our measuring system, I don't want to say is inaccurate, but in Germany or Europe, for that matter, things are done on the metric scale because it's more precise. Everything's by the millimeter. Everything's by the centimeter because it's about precision. So oftentimes when you're converting metric to US, you get these very odd sizes. And I get this question often, right? We don't manufacture a 36-inch vanity. Every American homeowner is used to a 30-inch, 33-inch, 36-inch. Everything's done on these increments, so on and so forth. Our vanities are 24 and 5/8, 31 and 5/8. And people are like, I don't understand. You don't have a 30-inch vanity? And I'm like, first of all, you have the room for an extra inch and 5/8. I said, but it's the conversion of metric to inches. Yeah.
And very interesting. I know, because the copper tubing, well, now they use copper tubing.
Yeah, now it's PAX and everything. Sure.
Yeah. How everything's changed over the years. And that's one of the things that I'm doing, the lighting. Okay, so I'm working on my lighting, and you figure 150 years of the development of the light bulb and all the lighting and everything, and now everything is LED. So the whole premise is not taking that, instead of taking LED and trying to fit it into a 150-year-old socket, let's redesign the whole way lighting systems are done.
Sure.
So what was said 20 years ago is not the same as it is today. So it's so important to keep on top of these things, to learn and to know. I mean, I'm surprised that, well, I guess it makes sense that it hasn't changed, but how do you get around that? How does a plumber, now I get into plumbing. Now this is Alison puts on her plumbing hat. How do you make a metric meet the inches if you're dealing with pipes and
Well, again, a lot of it is conversion, right? And what happens is our threading. So when we have to manufacture a product for the United States of America, we do change the threading. And even though it's done in millimeters on their side, when we do our installation manuals, it will read 3/4 inch, 1.25 inches, whatever. You'll see our dimensions on our products oftentimes do have both. They'll have 31.5, and then they'll have 800 millimeter, or whatever the millimeter conversion is. So you'll see that both, but the fittings are, in a sense, U.S. fittings. And oftentimes, most interior designers, I'm sure those that are out there and listening and have dealt with this, European manufacturers will have a European website. So let's say we have 80,000 SKUs here in the US, we have 400,000 SKUs in Europe. But because certain product can never meet US codes and standards, it doesn't come here. So I find in all my years working for luxury manufacturers, and all of them being European, we get that question of, oh, I saw this on the website, I love it, I want it. And it's no, it's never going to come here. It doesn't meet US plumbing code. Everything from gallons per flush to gallons per minute, it can never arrive here in the United States. So we deal with that challenge as European manufacturers, along with the plumber, right? We would just mention, how do these guys process it? I talk to guys that are so used to a Delta valve, a Mullen valve, a Kohler valve, all US companies. They're the mindset. Everybody knows them. They've been installing it 20, 30 years. Suddenly here comes Dean with this European product. And oftentimes like, I don't want to install this, because it's German, it's difficult, it's this, it's that. So it's just about knowledge and teaching somebody how it gets installed. We are a big manufacturer of wall-hung toilets. Right now, wall-hung toilets are not very popular in the United States.
In the United States.
Europe, that's all that's out there.
Right.
But I recently, when I was talking to designers, like a month or two ago, we were doing a training, and she was like, I don't understand, wall-hung toilets, it's such a new technology. So I started laughing. I said, understand, Duravit invented the wall-hung toilet in 1961. So wall-hung toilets, again, still are not a mainstay. They are in the urban market, New York City, California, Miami, Florida, Chicago. We sell a lot of wall-hung toilets. But here's a technology that's been around 60 years. We invented it. But you talk to some designers, and it's something that to them is 5 years old, 10 years old. So like you said, it's constantly changing. Rules change, regulations change, codes change. You got to use brass. You can't use PVC in the city. That's something that
gallons per minute changes.
Yeah,
it goes from here, it goes to there. It goes.
Sure. All the California green, right? We could go on forever about that. In my years in decorative plumbing, I've watched gallons per minute on a shower in less than 10 years go from 5 gallons a minute to 1.1 gallon a minute, just to save on water because all the code changes. So there's so much for designers to think about and plumbers to think about as things constantly change. It's an evolution almost on a yearly basis. New products come in, old products go out, flushes change, gallons per minute change, design changes. But chrome will always be chrome, right? Transitional, timeless design will always be there. But again, what we'll always see is the technology evolving, literally, as I said, on a yearly basis.
Well, doing my research, because I did the thing on the bathroom, so I always like to start with history. That's my thing. I'm a big history buff. So when I was doing the researching the history of the toilet, do you know it was actually invented by, I think, a prince or something, or a lord or some well-to-do person in like 1750 something?
Yeah. And the crazy part too is they were literally under their chairs. It was royalty. And it was like the seat that they would normally sit on. They could lift up the lid and do what they had to do, and then close the lid and so on. Yeah. So yes, it was something again that was, done, and only the wealthy had it. I mean, geez,
Yes.
if you really think about hygiene in the bathroom or wellness in the bathroom, we're only a few hundred years old in that respect, right? I mean, there was a point in time where the lake or the waterfall was your shower, and that was only done once in a while. It wasn't this daily process, and sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, people are showering. So, and to that, as a kitchen bath designer yourself, one of the things I always tell people is that it is the 2 most used parts of your home. It's why that they bring the most value. And if there's ever going to be money spent, it should be in the 2 areas that you use the most, by far.
Kitchen and the bathroom.
Absolutely.
Money makers. You buy a house. I had a client and they were like, oh my God, they needed kitchens, bathrooms, the whole thing. Beautiful house in Rockville Center, English tutor, and I give him a price for the kitchen. He's like, "Oh my God, this house! We didn't even pay that much for this house." I'm like, "Well, did you see the house?
Yeah.
You need to do a bathroom, and you need to do your kitchens.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to have don't want to have to do them, you have to pay $100,000 more or whatever for
Sure.
the house."
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
yeah,
and
I'm sorry.
oh, the toilet, and also now I'm doing the light bulbs. You know, the light bulb, they were trying for how many centuries to figure out how to make light, and it was
Yeah.
like 1800. And we
Yeah.
all just take for granted we light up all our lights and
Yeah.
everything goes on, and you don't realize, you know what? That was really literally only 220 years ago.
Yeah. And you think of
Oh,
where it is today and the
right.
importance of it. You know, one of the things I found, and it's always intrigued me in talking to people like yourself, and you have Tony Jeremy from Benjamin Moore. She goes on this whole lighting thing and the effects of lighting. And it
Mhm.
truly amazes me the importance of not only just the product in the room, but how you light the room. It becomes as relevant as everything
So
else.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because without the proper lighting, the color doesn't even look
Yeah.
proper. The whole mood of of the room, we were not meant to be living inside in the dark like this. We're meant to go to sleep at that time.
Sure.
And we're meant to wake up at the dawn and start, that's why the when the sun comes up, when they didn't have clocks before, you
Yeah.
went by the light and by the dark.
Sure. Sure.
So without the light, proper lighting, you can't it doesn't even render the color properly. And
Yeah.
if you can't maneuver your way through a space without the proper lighting, that's why my theme the last 2 months has been all about lighting and lighting design and lighting layer design, but emotionally, how we feel in a space
Sure.
when it's lit, how we use it, the sound, the noises, the texture, the feel of it,
Yeah.
the sense of how things make you feel. That's what interior designers are really, to me, sculpture a space using all of our senses, including how it smells and how we feel when we're in that space. It's all about, I don't know, that space just kind of makes me feel good. And if you know why, because if a designer knows what they're doing, or he has hit all of these senses in our bodies and created a good sense of security, well-being, pleasantness within a space. And that's all based on how we're using what's in the space. It's so complicated, our industry, and how one thing affects another thing
Yeah.
affects another thing. And like when we were talking recently, just before, about the parts for a bathroom. If designers don't understand, if they're not well versed in it, they just think, oh, I just want to do a bathroom. I want a shower system. They need the shower head, the body thing, and this. Well, you got the shower flange, arm, flange, head, valve, trim, handle. It's not
Yeah.
just, you don't pick it up and walk out with it.
Yeah.
It's all these little tiny, tiny little pieces that go together, especially when you're dealing with a luxury brand, because what makes it a luxury is you have more choices to do personalization.
Yeah. No, agreed. And the importance of lighting is just, even for us as a manufacturer. So we are releasing a new set of mirrors that the light changes from cool to warm based on Kelvin. So we're the first manufacturer to make a medicine cabinet or mirror lighted with a change from 2700 to 6500 Kelvin. And we do a CEU we have on lighting that I got trained on, and it amazed me that the technology that's out there, we're going to see in the foreseeable future that homes will change color of the hue of the lighting from cool to warm based on the time of day, like you had mentioned, right? I learned a lot about, when you wake up and the effects of the glow of the sun, and then the cool
Mhm.
of the evening as you begin to wind down. And you learn all these things and you say, wow. And like you had mentioned, a great designer achieves a space that is tactile, visually aesthetic, like you said, make somebody feel very comfortable in it. Like that whole wellness and well-being and the designing a room that way is always, so intriguing. And that's why I'm always honored to work with designers and work in this industry, because you meet so many intelligent people, and the way they address a project is so impressive. Because like you said, there's so many aspects of it. It's not just, oh, this paint, this fabric, this whatever, and let's throw it in a room. So much more goes into it. So
Mhm. One of the things before we get off and conclude our What's New
sure.
Wednesday is no, I
You
lost what I
forgot
was
it.
going to say. Oh, shoot. I'll remember it when it's gone. One of the things I wanted to say was, well, I could say a lot of things, Dean.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about
Oh,
luxury goods and having a choice.
when you were saying about the lighting in the homes and the systems,
Mhm.
it's really defining the lighting system,
Yeah.
because let's all face it, LED is the way. When you think about the energy consumed from an incandescent bulb
Yes.
down to an LED bulb, there's no comparison as far as energy consumption goes. And the whole systems, the way they glow, the way they light, everything about our homes is going to change. I think that that's
Yeah.
why people are ripping down the houses now and rebuilding them, because you want to put in that smart house,
Yes.
that the light changing the way you want, the stuff to be able to control from your phone.
Yeah.
So much more technical technology and integration into our homes and into our spaces. It's really just a phenomenal business, and it never stops changing.
Agreed. And it never stops evolving. And that again is the most, intriguing thing to me. As I said, I'm here in this industry literally 30 plus years, and it's evolving every year and almost on a daily basis. I read something new, I see something new, there's a new technology. So yeah, I'm definitely super intrigued to see where homes are going to be and what they look like in a decade from now. Should be
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
Definitely, definitely. So exciting. Well, Dean, it's such been a fabulous also, you know what? The bottom line of this here is you
Sure.
need to make friends with your sales reps.
Yeah.
People out there. If I needed something and I need a problem, I have something I want to know with Duravit, I'm not going to go ask somebody else. I'm going to go right to my sales rep. I
Yeah.
want to know exactly what I'm dealing with. I don't want to hear, because knowledge is power. And my sales rep knows more than the guy over there. Or he's going to even know more than the salesperson in the store, because
Yeah.
the salesperson doesn't necessarily know or have the training on that particular product that your sales rep does. And that's why I always say, go to the sales rep, call the manufacturer. Don't be afraid to do and reach out to. These are our industry partners. We're
Yeah.
in this together. They need us and we need them. So work together as a team. Teamwork is always better and easier in the long run than trying to dig the hole by yourself.
No, absolutely. And I see there's a question in the chat of how do you find your local Duravit rep? Like Alison just mentioned, you can call Duravit directly. You can find us online at Duravit US. We have a customer service number there. Depending on where you are in the country, we do have local support throughout the United States of America. So yeah, you would, for New York, it's myself.
Mhm.
And New England, there's a Tom Brown from a sales agency, Emerson Swan. But again, depending on where you are in the U.S., you can contact Duravit directly through our customer service number. The 800 numbers on our website, and
Mhm.
they will connect anybody to a local Duravit rep for sure.
And it's always better to get the answers from the reps if you
Yes,
have questions than from the salesperson, because the salesperson sells lots of different things,
agreed.
but Duravit sales rep deals with Duravit. Hans Grohe deals with Hans Grohe. Holiday Cabinets deals with Holiday Cabinets.
Yes.
So everybody has their niche and they know 100%. So always call the company directly. I always did that. I boggles my mind how many people don't call the company right away. Get
And
on.
every manufacturer has a manufacturer's rep. So
Yeah.
no matter the brand, no matter the product, any designer, yes, reach out to the manufacturer's representative for sure.
It could be, even if you're in the Midwest, even if you're in the middle of
Yes.
anywhere, you
Yeah.
have a local regional sales rep.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
And
sure.
we love you. We love our sales reps.
And we love our designers. Without you guys, we don't sell product.
Exactly. And without you guys, we got no product to sell.
Perfect situation.
All right, Dean, thanks so much. And
Thank
I
you,
look
Alison.
forward to seeing more of you in person. And I really look
Yes.
forward to getting together for our continued IDS family networking events.
Yeah, I look
And
forward to getting back to it and seeing everybody, in a big hug soon
big
enough.
hugs. Okay,
Thank you.
everybody.
All right,
Peace
have a
out.
wonderful day. Thank you.
Ciao for
Take
now.
care. Thank you,
Bye.
Alison.
You're
Bye bye.
welcome. Bye, Dean. That's